She's
something happened to me the other day that actually relates to what I want to talk to tonight. But I had a student from NYU who asked me to come and interview. Okay, that happens a lot. They want information, or really, they don't really want to call anyone. We're calling as a source. They just want to talk to the professor, make it easy on themselves. But I said, okay, come to my office, and he says to me, okay, I want to talk to you about your life. And I said, why would you want to talk about my life? And he said, because my beat is. Thank you. There we go. So he said, my beat is people who are almost famous. And I said, well, almost famous. He goes, yeah, you know, people who aren't really famous, but are a little famous. And that's his beat. And I said, well, you got the perfect guy, because I'm not really famous, except, of course, in my house. But things that I've done, people seem to know about. But they just don't know that I was the one to do them. And I kind of like that, because although it doesn't help me get tables at restaurants or anything like that, it's the kind of fame that you can really deal with. Because it really doesn't change your life very much. And so, you know, it made me think back. I started talking about, obviously, Stephen Glass, because he wants to know about that. He wanted to know about the movie. And I said, well, I'll tell you about the movie, but I think what really encapsulated that whole experience was that my wife and I went up to Toronto for the Toronto Film Festival, you know, to be part of the whole marketing blitz for Shattered Glass when it came out. And so, you know, unlike some people who drive up in a limo, we drove up in a Toyota, right? It pulls up to the red carpet, and, you know, we're pretty well dressed. My wife is 8 months pregnant. We walk up the red carpet. I had never been on a red carpet. I'm trying to enjoy every second of it, because knowing it'll never happen again. And as we're walking up the red carpet, this photographers start taking photos, the paparazzi. It's really cool until one of them shouts out, "Who the hell are you?" And I kind of stopped, and I had this existential dilemma, like, I'm Adam Pennenberg. And he looks at me and goes like, "Are you in the movie?" And then I had like more of an existential dilemma, because like, I'm like, well, kind of. And he says, "You either are in the movie or you aren't." And my wife kind of chimes in helpfully, "Steve Zahn plays him." And he looks at us like we're totally insane, like, what are you talking about? And then luckily, a limousine does pull up, and Chloe Sevigny steps out. And she starts walking up the red carpet, and then all the paparazzi are like, "Chloe, Chloe, Chloe, Chloe," flashing everything. And my wife and I can, you know, make an ignominious retreat up into the theater. And so that's what being almost famous is like. It's not like real fame like Chloe has, you know. She goes to clubs, they let her in free, she takes downers, gets drunk, it's Chloe, right? Me, you know, I gotta pay my way into the club. But, you know, this whole concept of almost famous, I think, is actually kind of an interesting theme. And so as I was talking to him, I actually got to talk about a lot of the stuff that I've had the, you know, the privilege of doing. And it kind of made me think about, you know, what I would talk to you guys about tonight. Because really, I don't get to talk about my life very much. Even my 7-year-old daughter doesn't want to hear it. Right? Why would she? But, you know, I mean, it's so interesting that, you know, we all end up, you know, it's like looking at a picture of somebody, you know, who's like 40 years old, and then looking at his baby picture. And you can kind of see how that person ended up looking that way, one hopes. But, you know, it's not like you could take a look at a 4-year-old and then project what that person's going to look like in the future. It's always easy to connect the dots in hindsight than it is to look forward. And as I look back at my life, you know, to a certain degree, I kind of wonder, how the hell did I get here too? I mean, how did I be a journalist? Because to be honest with you, I didn't write a word until I was 28 years old. And I think for a lot of you in this room, when I was your age, I was a complete screw-up. You know, I mean, I was a terrible student in college. I hate to tell you that. I was a terrible student. I was actually, I transferred to Reed College, to be honest with you, because I had just gotten done giving it a shot as a jazz musician. And, you know, when I was 16 years old, I started playing jazz and salsa professionally in New York City. And I was very serious about it. And when I was 18, I started playing with the guy who wrote Hair. You know, Galt McDermott, who wrote like Aquarius, Let the Sunshine In, that kind of stuff. It was right after the movie Hair came out, and so I started doing jobs and gigs with him. We played at Lincoln Center, we played at Carnegie Hall, we played at Symphony Space, we did some records, you know, records, vinyl. You may have heard about them. we did stuff like that. And I played salsa, and I thought this is what I wanted, how I wanted to spend my life until I had this epiphany. And it's kind of an interesting thing because it's not often in life that something happens and you realize that it had a transformative impact on your life. But I ran into my first synthesizer. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but Galt McDermott carted in this $20,000 synthesizer. He had to have 4 movers bring it into this recording studio. And it's called a synclavier.